So we're going to continue on our 5-1 notes. We're on lesson 5-1. We're on example 1 where we have to classify some angles. So now we're going to take all that vocabulary we've done over the past 2 days and we're going to put it to the test. Letter A, we have to find 2 acute angles. Raise your hand and tell me what you remember about acute angles. What do you remember about acute angles? They're less than 90 degrees. Very good. An acute angle, like an acute baby, is a small angle that's less than 90 degrees. So in this diagram here, do you see this angle that's 55 degrees? We have to write a name for that angle. And we're going to use these points right here to name that angle. It's ABC. Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and write, this is the symbol for angle. That is angle ABC. So if you go from A to B to C, that's angle ABC. Can anybody think of a different way you could name that angle? There are actually 2 ways. Well, you can't start with B because you can't start with the middle. So you could also name that backwards and call it CBA. But that's the same angle, by the way. So we've only listed 1, and we need 2 acute angles. So who can raise their hand and give me the other acute angle? And name it for me. Raise your hand. D, DB, E. Very good. So I'm going to write angle D, B, E. Or who could name that slightly differently for me? Go ahead. EBD. Very good. EBD. All right. Now we're into 2 obtuse angles. Raise your hand if you remember what obtuse means. It's more than 90 degrees. Very good. And I remember that B in obtuse means big. So it's a big angle. It's more than 90 degrees. So in order to name an obtuse angle, right now this is less than 90. This is 90 and this is less than 90. So none of these angles individually are bigger than 90 degrees, are they? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put a couple of them together. Raise your hand if you think you see an obtuse angle. Very good. From angle A to B to D, that's this big angle right here. That would be 55 plus 90. So that'd be like 145 degrees. So we could say angle ABD is obtuse. Who can raise their hand and give me another obtuse angle? Ooh, I like it. ABE, that is obtuse. That's also a straight line. So we're going to use a slightly different one, but I like it. EBC, very good. From E to B to C, that would be 35 degrees plus 90 degrees right here. That would be this big angle. So we could say angle EBC. Now, there are probably more, and you could also name those slightly differently, but we only have to list 2. So we're done. Now we're on to complementary and supplementary angles. What do you remember about complementary versus supplementary angles? Okay, which one adds up to 90? Complementary. And what does supplementary add up to? 180. Very good. So complementary adds up to 90. Supplementary adds up to 180. So we have to list a pair of angles. So we're going to have 2 angles because a pair is 2. And they have to add up to 90 degrees. Raise your hand if you can find 2 angles in this diagram that when you add them together, they equal 90. CB, okay, CBD is a 90-degree angle, but we want 2 angles because we want a pair of angles. So you're on the right track. That's a 90-degree angle, but we want 2 different angles. Okay, very good. So from C to B to A right here, you see that 55-degree angle? And then if I go from D to B to E, that's 35. If I were to add 55 plus 35, guess what I get? 90 degrees. So it wants a pair of complementary angles. So I'm going to say angle CBA CBA and, so CBA and DBE. Oh, thank you. And for letter D, change the word to A. We're just going to do one pair. So for letter D, we are looking for a pair of supplementary angles. So we need two angles that add up to 180 degrees. 180 we're looking for. And I'll give you a hint. A straight line, that's 180 degrees, right? So who can name two different angles here that we could put together to form that straight line? Okay, that's one angle. If we wanted one angle, you would say ABE. That's correct. But we want to split that. ABD, that could work. So if we go from A to B to D, that takes me from here all the way to here. So that would be my first part of it. It would be angle ABD. So angle ABD takes me part the way. Now what angle finishes that off to 180? D, yes, EBD, or you could say DBE. So then, if I name this angle right here from D to B to E, those two angles together form that straight line, or 180 degrees. All right, I think we've got one more page. Yep. And this one should be pretty quick. Example, oh no, there are two more, my bad. We might not get through it all today, we'll see. Example 2, finding an angle measure. We have to use our diagram to find each angle measure. So, letter E says, if you see that little M in front of that angle sign, that stands for the measure of angle 2. So if the measure of angle 2 is 65 degrees, so on your diagram up here, let's go ahead and label angle 2 as 65 degrees. I like to write in the information that I know. It's 65 degrees. Right here. Our job is to find the measure of angle 4. Angle 4 is right here. Who thinks they could raise their hand and tell me what the measure of angle 4 is? 65 degrees. Very good. Angle 4 is also 65 degrees. But why? Why is it also? Reflection of each other. So if you take this angle and reflect it over, they share that vertex. So those are called vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. Now for letter F, we have to find the measure of angle 1. So let's look at our picture here. Here's angle 1. Here's angle 3. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Okay, very good. You're onto something. So this entire thing, an entire circle we talked yesterday, a whole circle is 360 degrees, right? So that could help us figure it out. We could do 65 plus 65, subtract it from 360, and then divide it by 2. Very good. There's something else we could do too. I'll give you a hint. 180. So that straight line right there is 180 degrees, right? Very good. You do 180 because a straight line is 180 minus 65. So we're going to do 180 minus 65. You guys are getting 115. Yeah, very good. 115 degrees. Pretty cool, huh? Two different ways to figure that out. I love the reference to 360 degrees. That's awesome. If you do 180 degrees, it just makes it a little bit faster is all. All right. Yeah, it is Friday, so let me double check the time. 9:13. Here, I'm going to give you your homework. I want you guys to do number 1, 2, and 3. Hold on. I want you to do 6 and 7. And let's do 4 and 5 as well. 1 through 7, basically. The only thing we haven't learned so far is number 8. So I want you guys to do 1 through 7 and get going on that right now and ask us for help if you need it. And then we'll upload a picture of this to Google.